Okay, this is Monday, November 6th, 2017. It's 6 o'clock p.m. This is a meeting of the regular board meeting for the Village of Pulaski held at Pulaski Village Hall, 585 East Glenbrook Drive, Pulaski, Wisconsin. Okay, we'll call and pledge.
Bruce Birchkuski.
Present.
Roger Birchkuski.
Present.
Robert Gajewski. Here. Doug Prentice.
Present.
Chris Smith.
Here.
Robert Van Lannen.
Here.
And Reed Woodward.
Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda presented?
So moved.
By Doug.
Second.
Second by Chris. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 3, open the public hearing petition for rezoning for Jerry and Laura Brown. Rezone 331 West Green Bay Street, Pulaski, Wisconsin, parcel BP-29-1-4. Request to rezone from B3 Professional Office District to R2 Single Family Residential District. The .563 acre parcel is located on the corners of east side of Johnson Street and north side of Green Bay Street, Pulaski, Wisconsin. This parcel is currently zoned B3 and had been the Bellin Clinic for years, and prior to that had been St. John's Lutheran Church. And the ordinance is 557-170
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
by Doug,
I'll second that.
by Roger. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Jerry and Laura Brown are in the audience. If you have any questions of them. The planning and zoning had no problem with this reverting back to R2 because it's surrounded by all R2 properties. And they are going to remodel and live in it, I guess.
Super.
Take pictures, like to see pictures and
Yeah,
stuff.
wondering when the tour is.
Question?
Good fit for the area, everything, they said everything else is residential, so.
Do you have anything, do you want to say to the board, or you're not, you're good to go? Okay, any other questions by the board? If not, a motion to close the floor.
So moved.
I'll second.
Doug, seconded by Gajewski, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So of course, we're going to vote a little bit later in the meeting, so stick around for a little bit.
Number 5 is to open a public hearing and petition for the 2-lot certified survey map, CSM, for VP 1862, a total of 12.334 acres. Lot 1 to be 1.964 acres, and Lot 2 is to be 10.37 acres. The property owner is ALM Enterprises, LLC, 2203 Webster Avenue, Green Bay, Wisconsin, 54301. The applicant is Troy Hewitt of Robert E. Lean Associates, 1250 Center Boulevard, Hobart, Wisconsin, 54115.
Make a motion to open public hearing.
By Bob Van Lannen,
I'll second it.
by Bruce. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
There's a part 2 to that.
Okay. There is also a part 2 to this, a petition for rezoning parcel VP 1862. This parcel is currently zoned R3 Single Family Residential and used as farmland. The CSN will split the parcel into 2 lots. Lot 1 is requesting the rezoning to be B2 Highway Business, and Lot 2 is requesting the rezoning the R5 Multifamily Residential District. The property owner is ALM Enterprises, LLC, 2203 Webster Avenue, Green Bay, Wisconsin, 54301. The applicant is Troy Hewitt of Robert E. Lee and Associates, 1250 Center Boulevard, Hobart, Wisconsin, 54155. And the ordinance is 558-17.
Can you use that original motion?
Yes.
Then we just gotta vote on it.
Questions? I see Al Warren is here in case you have any questions for him.
Did we open did we vote on the?
You know, in favor? It was
Yeah.
Van Lennon and Bruce, and then I said there was the part two, so.
Okay.
Yeah, she did
Did-
vote in both.
we did vote?
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't vote, but yeah.
So all in favor then?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. That was a motion to close the public hearing?
So,
No, that was just to open it. to open it.
So R5 is apartments?
Yeah,
Okay,
multifamily,
multifamily.
yeah. And then the lot one, which is B2, I saved enough of that property to be able to attach to the hotel property for, in case we expand. And also for the banquet hall that we're planning, so.
In your original plans, Al, you were thinking multifamily through that area, right?
Yeah, and the
Okay.
one that you guys have been looking at for like the last 5 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, the pond that's there now, that was just created for the retention or the runoff for all of the subdivision
uh-huh,
is what you see as you're going down the highway. It's all
Yeah.
clear now, flat. That pond is gonna also be, utilized to put the apartments around it and decorate it and do fountains and things like that, so.
cool.
Landscapes and- So those apartments have been slated to go there for quite some time.
And of course, until you get closer to the project, no need to
Right,
change the zoning.
yeah.
Okay.
You anticipate, Al, starting 2018 with the apartments?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
you do.
it's gonna be too late this year, so we'll start right away in the spring. So.
Okay. Motion to close the floor.
I'll make that motion.
Bob, Gasky,
I'll second that.
Roger, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Closed it. Number 7 is to approve the minutes of the board meeting of October 2nd, 2017, and dispense with the reading.
So moved.
By Bruce,
Second.
second by Doug, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 8, consideration of financing plans as per Justin Fisher of R.W. Barrett. And we have several things that after Justin is done, we're going to need a motion to approve the debt management policy as recommended by the COW meeting held on 10/16/2017. Also to authorize the village president to sign the pre-engagement underwriting letter on financing. That's all you're going to have to approve as after Justin presentation. Justin, the floor is
Thank
yours.
you, it's nice seeing everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present here tonight. So this is really just an update to what was presented back in May of this year. So we're to the point where we're going to go through with refinancing the debt for long-term debt. So please, as I'm going through this, stop me at any time if you have any questions on this. So the first page of the presentation gives you a timeline of the financing of how this is all going to work over the next few months. So there's been a lot of preparation leading up to this point, working with Karen Reed, Jody, and so forth to get this plan all working together. And really over the last 6 months, it's come together very beautifully because the valuation of the village has increased you guys have paid off debt over that 6 months. And so as you're gonna see, your debt capacity has increased to a level that is much more comfortable. Great word. So the timeline here is really just to give you an update tonight. There's no action that needs to be taken, but really moving forward, and we kind of already started the process, is we're going to be working on putting together the official statement. And this is that offering document that's going to go out to investors to say why they should buy the Village of Pulaski's municipal bonds. So that's in process right now. That's requiring information from the village, and we're helping assisted with that offering document. And so that'll take some time to get that put together. There's also going to be a bond credit rating. It's going to be the first credit rating for the Village of Pulaski. As you know, Reed mentioned, there's a debt management policy. You guys have adopted a fund balance policy. So you guys have taken definitely the necessary steps to put you in a good position to receive the best bond credit rating possible. And remember, the better the bond credit rating, the lower the interest rates, the lower the debt service cost is going to be. So very important to achieve the best bond credit rating as possible. And then we're going to be out marketing, again, why investors should pay attention to the Village of Pulaski, because the more marketing, more demand that we drive for the Village of Pulaski, essentially, the greater the demand, the lower the interest rates. And then on January 8th, that is when we're going to come back to you guys with the final interest rates on the long-term debt. At that time, that will be a resolution to approve. And then the closing and payoffs of the prior debt is going to happen on February 1 of 2018. So we're just laying the groundwork for you guys to get to see what's coming down the pipeline. And so the borrowing amount, structure, purpose. So again, this is a $610,000 taxable general obligation refunding bond. The maturities are going to be April 1, 2018 to 2022. And again, taxable versus tax exempt, why we're amortizing the taxable debt as fast as possible is because that's your higher cost debt. And in the financing, in the original financing, there was some taxable projects based on legal counsel. They deemed the projects as taxable because they've either been incentives for developers, or maybe there's land that potentially is going to be sold to private development. That would deem it as taxable. So there's about $610,000 of that amount taxable. The first interest payment on that issue is going to be April 1 of 2018. It will be non-callable, and it's going to be to refinance that taxable land that was done earlier this year. The estimated interest rate is going to be about 3%, but that'll be fluctuating over the next few months, and it will also, based on where the bond credit rating comes in, that will, guide us more towards what that actual interest rate is going to be. The other debt issue that's going to be completed at the same time is a $7,370,000 general obligation refunding bond. The payment dates are going to be April 1, 2018 to 2035, with the first interest April 1 of 2018. It will be callable maybe 7 to 10 years. We're going to be talking to investors to feel what they're comfortable with, because ultimately we want the shortest call date for you, because that'll give you that prepayment flexibility, but we also don't want you guys to pay higher interest rate to get that call flexibility. So we got to figure out what that happy medium is. Right now in the marketplace, we're seeing about that 8-year call feature is acceptable to investors. So that'll be constantly moving as we get closer to actually selling the debt. And this is to refinance the 2017 taxable NAN, and then the 2015 promissory notes. And the estimated interest rate on this is 3.10, and that's a higher interest rate just because it's amortized over a longer period of time. So page 3 of the presentation, this shows you the numbers. This is kind of just from left to right, where you are today and where you're going to be after the financing is going to be completed. Really, the most important thing you can see over here is that we're restructuring a lot of the TID4 debt to better match the pro forma that, I'll show you in a couple of slides here. But ultimately, we wanted you to get out of a position where you guys are, pulling from, say, your general fund to make up for those expenditures. So we're gonna get you in a position where you're actually gonna see a cumulative positive balance in the coming year, and then it's gonna start increasing more and more, assuming the construction keeps coming in. So we'll talk about that. And then page 4, this shows you the refinancing. So this is related to that 2015 bond issue, and part of that 15 issue, it was made up of many different parts. It was made up of levy, it was made up of TID 4 projects, water projects, and sewer projects. So we broke it out to say what portion of that can we refinance for savings, what are we going to restructure and push out to better fit the pro forma for the TID 4. And so you can see the annual savings on the levy, water, and sewer. So there is significant savings between the 3 components. And then you get your savings up front on the tax increment district number 4, and then it's going to cost, because you're pushing out the debt in the long run. So that's the refinancing restructuring breakdown for you. Now page 5, this is when we first started this whole process. This was a concern of mine, and I think the village has done a really good job of being prudent and frugal with not borrowing anything additional this year because of that taxable NAM that we did earlier. That does not count against that debt capacity. Once we do the long-term debt, then it will count against that debt capacity. But the village has paid off debt, but this is a significant amount, which allowed the debt capacity to get comfortable enough to do the long-term debt. And it also helped with the valuation coming in over $10 million better than it was last year. The more valuation, because essentially your debt capacity is based on 5% of your equalized valuation total. So that's what you're allowed to borrow up to. So that's what this is. So at the end of 2017, say, there's 39% capacity out there, which is good. But then you're going to be taking on this financing, and that's going to, that's where the blue bars come into play. So you're still going to be left with 21% capacity in 2018. So you can still have some breathing room. If a big, some type of project comes along, there's room to borrow, but that's not the plan right now. The plan has been to borrow for 2017-18 projects, and we're not going to do anything until 2019. That's the plan. That's the whole goal of this, is to constantly be paying off debt and be planning for that future. Yeah. So essentially, the next borrowing potentially could be 2019. With the first payment potentially in 2020. You can see that it's going to be rolling off debt and get in a better position. And so then the last page just gives you an overview of the tax increment district number 4 pro forma after the debt financing. Really, the thing to focus on here is on the right side of the page, the TID status. You can kind of see where you were, in 2017. The annual balance, negative $175,636. That's essentially the TIF wasn't being able to pay for itself at that point. By restructuring and allowing some of this increment to come in over the next few years, allows you, that breathing room to potentially have a positive annual balance starting next year and going forward, and start reducing that cumulative balance, because that's ultimately what you're trying to do is build up that cumulative balance to as much as you can, but that'll allow you to take on more projects and expand that TID 4 and continue to do that cost benefit analysis. So right now, based on everything, based on the construction increments that are projected by the village, this TID could potentially close in 2035 with close to $4 million available to it, if everything comes together as the pro forma puts together, or as it shows. But this is a constant working document. Every year it changes. The construction increment might not come in exactly as it's shown here. It might come in better, it might come in worse, and that'll kind of dictate how this all looks. But overall, it's showing that the TID 4 is pretty healthy.
Justin, on page 5, so we're looking at the debt management policy. Village board does not exceed 75% of the village's legal debt margin capacity. I'm seeing capacity of 21%.
That's a good question, but the thing that the debt management policy points to is it's not self-supporting debt.
Oh, okay.
This includes the water, the sewer supported TID4, TID type debt. That's all included in here. That
Okay.
policy is just levy supported debt service.
All right, cool.
That was my first question.
So Justin, you asked, or at the beginning of your presentation, you mentioned something about first for Pulaski bond rating
Yep.
credit. That has not been done in the past? This is
Not to my
something-
knowledge. The village has issued debt, but on a non-rated basis. So you have the choice either to go through the bond credit rating process or not.
Oh, you have a
And then
choice.
investors would do their own due diligence and so forth. But based on the size of these financings and the length of the financing, it's going to pay for itself to get a bond credit rating. And we've done a lot of analysis to figure out where you may come in, and we think you guys are going to be in a good position.
Any other questions?
Reed tells me he's a good salesman, so he's going to be joining the bond rating call.
Can I have a motion?
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah.
Motion to close the floor.
So moved.
Right.
One second.
Second by Bob Gieske. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, after the presentation, the part of your package is the recommended resolution for debt management policy.
Can we move to approve here, or do we see it later in the, I'll make a motion to, and is it just approving it or
Yeah, we have-
putting it into
We have
place?
to formally adopt that,
Adopt.
yeah,
I'll make a motion that we adopt.
this policy, debt management policy,
I'll second that.
by second by Bruce. Any further discussion by the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 2, to authorize the village president to sign the pre-engagement underwriting letter on financing
I'll make that motion.
by Bob Gieske.
I'll second.
Second by Bruce. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And number 9, persons desiring to be heard. Persons desiring to be heard. You'd like to address the board?
Yes.
Could I have a motion to open the floor?
So moved.
I'll second.
Who made the motion?
Doug?
I made a motion.
I mean, and Bruce and
Bob.
Okay, thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
Could you-
I'm with Jervis Automotive, one of the owners of Jervis Automotive. We were served, basically, the village has asked us to both remove the fence that we have on our lot as well as the 2 membrane sheds that we have. As far as the fence is concerned, the village had come by a while back and expressed some concerns that things looked a little bit cluttered and everything. So Mark and I just constructed a fence and put it there so that it would camouflage it. I mean, we are looking to paint it. It is a wooden fence and it's high enough so it hides everything. I didn't know at the time that you had to have a permit. I have since talked to down at the clerk's office, spoke with her and to find out about the permitting process. The gal that does this, I guess, was on vacation last week. I did send in a check, I believe it would have been October 26th. I did send that in for the late fee as well as the permitting for the fence. She has not yet, as of yet, called and make an appointment to inspect that. We'd like to keep it. It looks a little bit neater. Yes, it does need a coat of paint. I will give it that. If it's gonna be a big problem, that's fine, you know, just refund my money and I'll have it down in 2 hours. I mean, other than that, you'll be looking at stuff that will be tarped. I mean, we can tarp it, but, you know, we need it for conducting our business. It is a part of our business. And then we also do have the sheds. Now the sheds, we are grandfathered in. They have been there since 2005, so we are grandfathered in as far as the sheds. Yes, there has been some deterioration over time. We've had like neighbors' limbs come flying over. I mean, we picked up limbs from people's neighbors' trees. I'm not gonna go sue my neighbor. So, you know, we just deal with it as best we can. We don't have a tree on the lot. But what we did do is, you know, there was that deterioration, and because of it, we were suffering some damage to our equipment that is within the sheds. So we were able to get some metal roofing just to cover it, maybe give it a little more, you know, make it a little stronger so that I don't have to worry about my neighbor's limb poking another hole. We were actually hoping to replace the membranes. The reason we went with the metal right now is that we had a farmer friend of ours that was getting rid of it. We thought we could utilize it. We had been hoping to replace the membranes. Unfortunately, we're still recovering from a $30,000 loss to our business when the highway project was going through. And that's a really hard amount of money to make up. I mean, it's not like the membranes are really prohibitive. They're really not. However, when you suffer a $30,000 loss, any money like that is. I mean, if the metal isn't any good, I mean, we'll replace the membranes. However, we will need at least, given the time of the year that it is, it would probably be a project that we would do in the spring. I'm hoping to have, if we can keep the fence, I'm hoping to have a coat of paint on that before the snow flies. But all of this would be done, the new membranes, if we have to go with new membranes, I would like to have the right to rectify, because we are entitled to have those sheds. To have to remove those sheds would cause an undue hardship to our business. We have been on that location for 12 and a half years. Over 12 and a half years we've been there. I haven't had any problem it posing any kind of a danger. As a matter of fact, when we had the storm here in Pulaski, 97% of this community suffered some kind of loss or damage to their property. My fence, my sheds, nothing. They stayed put, nothing happened with them. I lucked out that the tree on my neighbor's one house over went down because it caught the trampoline that was headed towards my shop. So, you know, I'm sorry, when you get a storm like that, you know, things go airborne and trampolines go airborne. But my sheds, my fence are secured that they didn't budge. So I don't think, I mean, yes, visually, yes, they're not all that pleasant, you know, at this point in time. They are, however, not a hazard. So I guess I would just say, like I say, I have sent a check in to have an inspector come and check out the fence. If we can have it, I paid the fees, I paid the late fee as well, that's my fault. I didn't know I had to have a permit, that's my fault. Like I say, if you decide we have to take it down, then we have to take it down. We only put it up because of the concerns of the village that it was cluttered there. It looks much better with the fence there. You know, like I say, a coat of paint, I don't have a problem with that because we were hoping to do it this fall. Unfortunately, we're looking at more towards spring because we are going to actually be painting the exterior of the shop as well. And we wanted to paint the fence to match in and blend in with the shop as well. So we are attempting to make it look neater and to hide some of that stuff. I mean, the businesses that we run off that lot